Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Los Altos High School, the home of the Eagles. The Los Altos High School Gymnasium for boys volleyball matchup this afternoon between Los Altos Eagles and the visiting Sacred Heart Prep Gators. Stephen Davies back with you here on KMVT 15, Mountain View, Los Altos, Cupertino, welcoming you once again to the Los Altos High School Gym, a matchup again between the Eagles and the Gators. The first-year program, Los Altos High School under Coach Dave Radford, a 5-6 record on the year, 2-1 in the El Camino League. Sacred Heart just 3-9 on the season thus far, just 1-6 in the league. The Gators' victories coming over James Lick of San Jose back on the 12th of March in a 3-0 victory. They also defeated Sarah of San Mateo 3-1 and Wilcox of Santa Clara, that game back on the 26th. As we mentioned, Los Altos 5-6 on the year so far. An impressive record considering it is a first-year program. And they're lucky to feature 5 seniors, all of whom grew up playing club volleyball here in the city of Los Altos. Their victories this season, their first, or debut victory, I should say, over this same Sacred Heart Prep side on the 15th of March in the 3-1 victory. They also defeated Wilcox and Santa Clara in back-to-back games and defeated Eastside College Prep of East Palo Alto and Saratoga, that most recent victory coming on the 3rd of April. So the two teams about ready to take the court then. And while we've got a second, we'd like to say thanks to one of our main sponsors. This game is brought to you by KMVT's All Sports presenting sponsor, the Palo Alto Medical Foundation, part of the Sutter Health Network. Choose your PAMP doctor today. Two teams ready to take the court then. The crowd's still filing into the Los Altos High School Gymnasium. And we've got one more quick advertisement to read. The game is also brought to you by Home Instead Senior Care. Home Instead provides personalized in-home care your loved one needs. Home Instead, to them, it's personal. So the two teams have taken the court. The home Eagles in the blue uniforms with the gray trim for the libero. The visiting Sacred Heart Prep Gators in the cardinal red shirts, the black shorts, and the white socks. So let's give you the starters then, for beginning with Los Altos. The setter will be number 1, Nathan Smith. The outside hitter will be number 2, Alex Blackburn. One of the men to keep an eye on, John Dye. He's wearing number 4 for the Eagles this afternoon. They've got a real height advantage to the Eagles in this game, and two of the players to keep an eye on, the 6'4" middle blocker, Ian McCall, and the senior middle blocker, the 6'8", Spencer Simonides. He's wearing number 13. For the visiting Sacred Heart Prep, in the front row, Ian Bennett, the senior. Clay Aitken-Young, also a senior outside hitter as well. Phil Myers will play the outside hitter in the back row. The libero is Grant Chow. The setter will be Matt Howe. He's wearing number 1. He will serve the first ball of the game coming up here for the Gators. And we are underway from Los Altos High School. Glad you're with us here on a Tuesday afternoon. Over in 3, back to the Sacred Heart side. They'll also send us over in 3 as Bennett tips it over the net. Now to the front row, setting it up for Simonides, a little deep there, and he gets it to drop. And the first point of the game goes in favor of Los Altos. And as we mentioned, a clear height advantage that the Eagles have this afternoon, and that man Simonides in the front row is going to be a handful for the Gators to deal with. Sacred Heart send it over in 3, thanks to Matt Howe. Now back over to Simonides, and that just, wow, I thought that was a little long, but it just grazed the boundary there. And you can see the kind of power that Simonides exhibits there as he rises high to spike that one home. 2-0 Los Altos lead here in game 1. Nathan Smith to serve, dealt with by Bennett. Howe sets it up near side for Bennett, who tips it over. Smith is there for the Eagles. Sent over in 3. Back to the far side. Bennett, quick deep, sends it over. But the Eagles were there. Simonides, too strong for Grant Chow. And Simonides already responsible for all 3 of the Eagles' points so far, as they're out to a 3-0 advantage. Smith's 4th serve. Bennett set to deal with it. Howe sets back to Bennett, and he'll find the corner for the first Gator point. A well-worked point that time as Bennett received the serve. Perfect set from Howe, and Bennett finds the near side corner for the point. So 3-1 the score, and Sacred Heart will have their second serve of the match coming up. It's Pablo Solanas wearing number 5 to serve for Sacred Heart, and that's going to be just a little too strong. Really not what Sacred Heart were looking for there, trying to build some momentum. Coach Damian Hardy for Sacred Heart right over there on the far side. So they give it away. And that's a nice dig out there by Solanas. Sent over to the Eagles side. Tipped back over by the Gators and sent over in one from the Eagles. Now back again to Bennett. And that took a deflection. And Paul Bergevin unable to set it up in time. Sacred Heart get the point, and it's now 4-2 Eagles. So Frank Rodriguez in to serve for Sacred Heart on the far side of the court. And that's rejected in the net. Nicely done, Bennett. Tremendous anticipation there. Read John Dye all the way as he tried to tip that over the net. And Bennett rising high to put that one back. And the Gators have back-to-back points. 4-3 then Eagles. Game number 1. Rodriguez's serve. Smith sets, and again, Twin Towers up front. This time it's Lucas Harushka. And this is much more encouraging play here from the Gators, tying this game up at 4 apiece. And the front row in particular for the Gators right now seems to be dialed in. Smith sets, far side. Vidai sends it over. And that's going to be outside the antenna on the near side, as Solanas couldn't deal with that one. Giving the Eagles the advantage once again, 5-4 then, game 1. And the libero, Mateus McAfee, will serve from the far side for the first time. Eagles 5, Gators 4 here in game number 1. And that's going to not be his best serve by any means, as McAfee sends that one into the net. So, teams with some struggles here in the early going. Now Bennett will serve for the first time for Sacred Heart Prep. Bergevin was there, sent over near side, as Blackburn sends it over. Howe sets near side for Myers. That's rejected at the net by Ian McCall. And that ties it up at 5. So the Gators hold serve, or actually 6-5, excuse me. So the Gators have their first lead of the game so far. Bennett sends it across off the arms of Dye, over in 3 for the Eagles. Chow was there. Howe sets, cross to Myers. Oh, and finishing at the net, Harushka. But he, unfortunately, I think, hit the net as he tried to spike that down. And Harushka, especially in the front row so far, showing some hops and has worked well in tandem with Bennett when they've both played in the front row. Bennett then deals with the serve. Set up for Myers. Smith is there. And that's finished by McCall as the Eagles retake the lead 7-6. So McCall from the front row causing fits for this Gator defense so far. Bennett gets low to deal with that one. Back to him, sends it over. And it takes a deflection off the front row tandem of Dye and Smith as the Gators tie it up at 7. Clay Aiken-Young comes onto the court as Solanas takes a seat. And it'll be Phil Myers to serve from the center of the court. Bennett directing traffic for the Gators. Deep serve dealt with by McAfee. Dye there at the net, turned away by Harushka. Should be 8-7. Let's see. Dye to serve. Bennett back deep, sets it for Howe. Turns it over nicely. Brilliantly done by Howe front row of the Eagles were not expecting that one. And now it's 8-7 to Sacred Heart Prep. 8-7 then. And that serve is going to be just too long. John Dye wisely deciding to let that one go, and that'll tie it up at 8. So all tied up then here in game 1. Not much to choose between these two teams so far. Short serve. Chow there. Oh, a little confusion there, and they have to send it over in 3 on the bump. Now Smith sends it far side. Myers will send it just too strong. And Sacred Heart take a 9-8 lead. Just a little bit too strong that time from Bergevin. Sacred Heart reclaim the lead. Matt Howe to serve. Smith sends it across. Tipped over the net by Simonides. Oh, nicely done at the net. Ian Bennett. And he's certainly matching up front with Simonides and with McCall. 9-8 then. Sacred Heart, as we mentioned, looking for just their second victory in league play. Sent over in 2. Traffic at the net. Bennett keeps it in. And that's going to be 4 hits on Sacred Heart Prep. A little confusion there in the front court from Sacred Heart Prep, and that's why Bennett had to sprawl to the far side to try and keep that one in, but one too many hits. And the Eagles back on serve here at 10-9, Sacred Heart Prep leading game 1. Bennett. And a double hit there from Matt Howe. He tried to get underneath that one to set it for Bennett. 10-10. Smith serves for the Eagles. Howe underneath that one, sends it cross court. Tipped away at the net. Simonides sends it back across. And then Smith will hit that just into the net. Well covered up front that time by Scott Blankenberg for Sacred Heart Prep, forcing Smith into try and one-arm it up over the net. 11-10. And after that 4-0 start for Los Altos here in game 1, Sacred Heart have come roaring back. They lead 11-10. Smith sends it cross court for Blackburn. Too strong that time for Solanas as he did his best to dive to the floor. But good contact made by Blackburn. That ties it up. So Bergevin to serve. 5'10" senior. Low, flat serve over. Myers tips it up over the net. Dealt with underneath by Simonides. Blackburn sends it over in 3. Bennett sets. Tipped over by Blankenberg. Smith now for the Eagles. Oh, nicely done. John Dye going cross court there and finding the open spot near side as the Eagles retake the lead. Back and forth game here. After the point by John Dye, the Eagles are back on top. Howe does well to keep that inside. It hits the antenna. And that'll be a point to Los Altos. So teams haven't been able to establish a lot of separation as this game continues, but Los Altos up by 2. Great serve there that time. Los Altos scramble to send it over in 3. Smith sets for Simonides. And it's going to be a double hit on Sacred Heart Prep. That was unlucky because Grant Chow did a fantastic job with dealing with that stinging spike from Simonides. That gives them a 3-point lead. They lead 14-11. Howe tips it up for Bennett. Kept alive nicely by McAfee. Simonides rejected at the net by Bennett. Los Altos keep it going, and he's rejected again. Boy, Bennett is playing fired up here at the moment. And his front court cohorts, if you like, are really doing a fine job. Blankenberg and Myers we've seen. Harushka now back in on the substitution. And Bennett is feeling it at the moment. 14-12, then Eagles lead game 1. Here's the serve from Rodriguez, and that's too long. And that's not the first time that an errant serve has cost Sacred Heart Prep, especially in terms of momentum, as it gives the Eagles back the serve. 14-12 the score. And McAfee to serve, dug out nicely that time by Solanas. Over to Bennett, and that's tipped into the net. Didn't get the contact he was looking for there. Good set from Howe, but Bennett sends into the net. 16-12. Sacred Heart leads. Howe, bump set behind for Bennett. Rejected the net. Nicely done by John Dye. They have to send it over in 3. Will Sacred Heart Prep, and they'll say a double hit on Solanas. And Hardy, Coach Hardy, calls timeout. Couple of mental mistakes perhaps here. Yeah, and you can almost hear Coach Hardy from here, definitely pointing out the mistakes that his team have made so far. An entertaining first game that perhaps with the Gators is slightly slipping away from here at 17-12. Los Altos lead. So 17-12 the score then here in game 1. Best of 5 competition here between Los Altos and Sacred Heart Prep. Team's ready to come back then from the timeout. Story of this game so far, the dueling front court play of Spencer Simonides and the senior Ian Bennett for the Gators. Simonides on the bench right now, and that's a great serve that catches Sacred Heart Prep completely asleep. Perfect spot in the near side of the back court. And all the Gators could do that time was just watch it go. McAfee from the far side to serve with the Eagles up 18-12. Chow's underneath that one. Howe sets for Bennett, tips it over. McAfee was there. Smith sends it cross court for John Dye. That takes a deflection off a Gator player. And the goal is most certainly in sight now as the Eagles have wrestled control of this game, up 7. The biggest lead of the day so far for the Eagles. 19-12. Chow underneath for Howe. Sends it cross for Myers. McAfee sends it over in 1. Bennett serves it to Howe. Turned away at the net, but that will go in favor of Sacred Heart Prep as the combination of Smith and Dye send it over for a point. 20-12 then the score. Short serve right underneath. Oh, tip back. No real opportunity that time for Harushka to dish it to another player. Had to tip it back over, and Los Altos were right there, leading by 9. Smith back to Blackburn, finished with authority. How has the momentum swung in this game? Sacred Heart were exchanging points right up until they were tied about 12 each, and then Sacred Heart, or Los Altos, excuse me, is absolutely taken over this game, up 21-13. Blackburn short serve. Chow sends it over in 1. Off the hands of Harushka and out of bounds. That's going to go outside the antenna for the point for the Eagles. 22-13 now. Howe sets it up for Myers. Nicely dug out McAfee. Well done. Blackburn sets. John Dye goes cross court, and he finds the target. Tremendous dig out by Matthias McAfee. Short ceiling here at the Los Altos High School gym, and that ball barely stayed off the roof. Los Altos able to finish the point, and they're just 2 away from game 1 now. 23-13. Chow didn't get his best contact on it. And it's going to be a double hit here against Rustin Barada. And it's now game points here in game number 1. Certainly time for the Gators to regroup after this one. Here's Blackburn's serve. And Bennett can't keep it down. Couldn't get underneath it in time, despite the best efforts of Matt Howe. And Los Altos finish in some style. 25-13, they take game one.
My parents are really slowing down. I feel bad I can't always be there for them.
How do I choose between caring for my mother and caring for my own family?
I've been looking into the options, but Dad doesn't want to leave his home. What do I do?
Struggling to care for an aging parent? You're not alone. Learn how Home Instead Senior Care can provide the personalized in-home care your loved one needs. Home Instead. To us, it's personal.
Ever since we moved to the United States, Palo Alto Medical Foundation has been taking care of our health. We love our doctor. She's always ready to listen to us and is very professional and answers all our questions and is very reassuring. PAMF has been there not just for my own family, but for the whole community, whether they're seeing patients or providing doctors for our free medical clinic.
Back with you from Los Altos High School, KMVT 15. Stephen Davies here with you from Los Altos High School, and for the Gators, trying to figure out where it all went wrong in that first game. They were in very much equal terms right up until the midpoint of the game, and then Los Altos took over. And they'll get their first point of this second game. And this is where I think Coach Hardy would like his team to be a little bit more consistent here, was staying on serve. They had opportunities in the first game, but some poor serving let him down. McAfee deals with that one. Smith bumps it back in. Bergevin was there, comes back off the net. Chow sends it across in two. Smith sets underneath. But Blackburn goes cross court, dug out with one hand, but not in time, as Blackburn ties it up with one apiece. Coach Hardy's certainly an animated character on the sideline. Really getting about as close as you can get to the court without actually being on himself. Back by Matt Howe, sent over in three. McAfee deals with it. Smith underneath. Simonides is there. It's back to Bennett. That's too strong. And Los Altos take the lead 2-1. By comparison, Coach Bradford for Los Altos staying more out of the way. A little confusion again there, and that's going to be too short. Not the first time there's been a little confusion in the Gator defense that time. Howe was a little late to it, and Solanas couldn't send it back over. So 3-1 here, Los Altos. Howe sets it up for Myers, and they catch the break that time, as that spun off the hand of Simonides. Substitution then for Sacred Heart Prep as Blankenberg takes a seat. Harushka comes back on. So it's Harushka, Myers, and Bennett in the front row. And that was a trio that worked well in that first game. And that's a tremendous tip over by John Dye. Most delicate of touches there to tip it past the big man and give Los Altos the 4-2 lead. Four in the back row here off the serve from McAfee. And that's too strong out to the far side. So 4-3 now. McAfee sends that serve wide. Bennett from the near side tips over the net. McCall was there for Los Altos. Smith one-arms that up. Blankenberg sets. McCall is rejected at the net. It's kept alive, though, in this game. Already down a game. They went down 25-13 in the first game. Over in three then as Howe sends it over. McAfee digs it out. And they're going to say that's on roofing on Nathan Smith. 6-4 now the Gators lead. Smith sets, tipped over by McCall, dug out nicely by Chow. It's cross court. Maya sends the cross. Blankenberg's underneath it. A little tip over again, dug out by Chow. But they can't get it over the net. And that's unlucky because Chow, two tremendous plays to keep the points alive for the Gators, but too close to the net. They couldn't tip it back over. And Los Altos on serve here with the senior Alex Blackburn. Howe sets it up for Bennett. Oh, nicely done. Both hands up, sets it over the net. And just the right amount of power and touch. Have that drop in the near side in the backcourt. So 7-5 then. The Gators lead here in game 2. McAfee. Oh, Smith, nicely done. Fakes the set and tips and sends it over with the left hand. And that cuts the Gator advantage to 7-6. John Dye to serve. Bennett underneath for Sacred Heart Prep. McCall sends it over in 1, tipped away, too strong for McAfee. As Harushka earns the point, Sacred Heart Prep. He'll take a seat as Blankenberg comes back on into the rotation. Grant Chow then, the senior to serve. McAfee was there, sent over in 3, too delicate of a touch that time by McCall, despite the best efforts of Myers diving to try and get a hand underneath it. Los Altos stay on serve, leading this game 8-7 here in game 2. McCall over the net, Chow there. As Blankenberg and Simonides battle at the net. Sacred Heart earned the point, leading 9-7. Off the serve, Simonides punches it over. Chow is there. Howe sets for Bennett, and that's going to stay in. Took a deflection off the Eagles player, but stays in bounds. Bennett certainly warming up here from the front row on the near side. 10-7 now. Sacred Heart Prep leading game 2. And that just goes over the net. Simonides does well to keep that point alive and send it back across. Now over to the near side, dug out tremendously by McAfee. Off the hands of Bergevin, over in 3. Bennett sets for Howe. Back to Bennett, can he finish? McAfee keeps the point alive. It's going to be competition at the net. It's kept alive by Sacred Heart Prep. Excellent play here. Sent over in 2 by the Eagles. Simonides sets for Smith. Back across to Bergevin, kept alive by Chow. Tipped over in 2. Good battle here. Chow keeps it alive. They're going to have to send it over in 3, though. McAfee's there to set. Up for Smith, because Simonides finishes, rejected at the net. But Los Altos get the point. Bennett not happy. Pleading his case here with the up official, but oh, what a point that was. 10-8 now, Sacred Heart Prep lead, but going to shake that off. The longest rally of the game. That's going to be too strong that time from Clay Aiken-Young as he sends that cross court too strong. What had been a 10-7 Sacred Heart Prep lead is now 10-9. And Nathan Smith to serve for the Eagles, trying to tie this game up. Chow, another great dig. Underneath for Bennett, blocked at the net by Blackburn. In tandem that time with Simonides, but couldn't keep the point alive. Sacred Heart Prep back on serve, up 11-9 here in game 2. Here's Solanas' serve from the middle of the court. McAfee's there. Smith keeps the point alive. Simonides bumps it over. House sets near side. Tipped over by Bennett. Nicely done again. Going to the set style move there. And has shown he can find his range for that shot. And it works again. 12-9 now. Gators lead here in game 2. Solanas to McAfee. Set by Smith. Simonides is blocked at the net by Bennett. And Sacred Heart get the point. So 13-9 now. Third serve then from Solanas. Smith is there. Tipped over by Blackberg. Chow is able to keep that alive as Blankenberg sends it into the net. Los Altos, excuse me, get the point. Sacred Heart in this game doing a much better job of keeping their minds focused on the game. I think that's where they kind of fell off in game 1. Bennett sends that into the net. Dye and Simonides were there for Los Altos. Quick instruction in from Coach Radford. Crowd doing their best to cheer on the home Eagles. Here we go, 13-11. Simonides there in front. Sent over in 2 by Sacred Heart Prep. Blackburn, oh, that might have gone out of bounds. Bennett is there to set. Sent back across, Dye digs it out. Smith sets up for Simonides, tips it over. Dug out by Sacred Heart Prep in 2. Smith sends it across court to Dye. Chow is there for the Gators. Now back to Myers. He finds the open spot in front. Despite the diving effort of Smith and Dye. Nicely worked point by Sacred Heart Prep. A timeout called with the Gators up 14-11 here in game number 2. So while we've got a break in the action, KMVT Sports would like to thank Homestead Senior Care for their continuing support of high school sports programming. Homestead, to them, it's personal. So a brief timeout in the action here as Coach Radford calls timeout. And this is about the point in the game, back in game number 1, where Los Altos took complete control of that first game. And it'll be interesting to see how they respond here now in game 2. They have the lead, 14-11, and have certainly battled with the Eagles in this game. We think back to that long rally, although Los Altos took the point. Sacred Heart Prep showed they're more than capable of covering the court. But then the serving woes come back to haunt them a little bit as Frank Rodriguez sends that one into the net. Just what Coach Radford wanted coming out of the timeout. That cuts the lead to 2. 14-12, Los Altos here, or Sacred Heart Prep, excuse me, in game 2. How bump serves back to Bennett. Too strong for McAfee. He was kind of caught in that no man's land there. Couldn't decide if it was too strong. And diving back to his left to try and keep the point alive. And Bennett has certainly been the Gators' most consistent server today. And that comes back off the basketball hoop. Kept alive, though. And back over to the Sacred Heart Prep side. Over by Myers. McCall was there. Smith sets. Dye rejected at the net. And Harushka able to rise high and send that one back. It's a 16-12 Gator lead here in game 2. And this is the man you want serving for your Sacred Heart Prep. Dye back to Smith. Blackberg. And Bennett lets that one go as Blackburn finishes with a cross-court winner. (16-13) Gators leading here in game 2. Eagles taking game 1 25-13. Low serve. Tough for Sacred Heart Prep to handle. Blackburn sets for Smith. Back across to McCall. Chow digs it out for the Gators. Now to Bennett. Oh, turned away by McCall. Too strong there for Solanas to handle. And that's a great point for Los Altos. Strong play at the net by McCall. First on the initial block and then sending a bullet back across the net. Blackburn to serve. Solanas digs it out. Long cross-court set by Howe. Over in one. McAfee is there. Smith set for Dye, and he finds the line. Just got a nick of the line there as Dye sends that one near side. Despite the best efforts of Bennett, and they're within one now. Another compact serve from Blackburn. Bennett sends it across in three. McAfee is there. Smith for McCall, and he finds the open spot in the backcourt. Right between Solanas and Chow. And Solanas diving to his right. No chance to deal with that one. But more importantly, it ties the game up now. And the Eagles feel momentum swinging their way. Third serve then from Blackburn. Deep one for Chow. Howe underneath it. Rejected at the net by McCall. And he's coming alive in this game. And while Simonides waits for his turn to get back into rotation, the 6'4" senior Ian McCall is taking over the second game. Another good serve from Blackburn. Sent over in one by Sacred Heart Prep. Howe back to Bennett, goes cross court, tipped off the hand of Dye, back up off the roof now. Smith is there, left to send over in three. Chow digs it out. Cross to Matt Howe, cross court to Myers. Smith underneath, sets for McCall, and he's got the point again. Back-to-back points from McCall off the spike. And Los Altos have got the last 5 points in a row. Timeout called here in game two as Los Altos lead 18-16.
Ever since Dad died, taking care of Mom was overwhelming. I can't do it on my own.
Sure, my mother needs me, but I just want to be a daughter again.
Mom wants to stay in her home, but needs more help than ever. It just can't be me all the time.
Struggling to care for an aging parent? You're not alone. Learn how Home Instead Senior Care can provide the personalized in-home care your loved one needs. Home Instead. To us, it's personal.
Back here at Los Altos High School. Entertaining second game here between Sacred Heart Prep and Los Altos. And after Sacred Heart Prep led much of the second game, Los Altos, thanks to the senior middle blocker Ian McCall, and some timely serving from Alex Blackburn, just 7 points away from taking the second game. You've got the last 5 in a row. And much of it has been the responsibility of this man in the short, compact serve. Chow back there. Howe scrambles to dig that one out. Blocked at the net by McCall. Chow underneath. They'll have to send that across, which they do. McAfee deals with it. Smith sets. Dye tips it over. Great serve sets today from Nathan Smith. And there was a tremendous example of it there. Perfectly placed for Dye. Rising high at the net. Saw a gap between the front court and the back court of the Gators. And it's now a 3-point lead for Los Altos. 19-16 they lead. Bennett, that power set too far that time. And it's a move we've seen a couple times from the senior on the afternoon. 5 points away from the game. Now the Eagles here in game number 2. 20-16 the lead. Chow digs it out into the net. McCall read that one all the way, and just a little bit too strong that time from Grant Chow. Matt Howard's underneath the net, but just nowhere to go. And just like in the first game, after the timeout call, Los Altos have really pulled things together, and McCall that time finds a huge gap Coach Hardy now will call the players over for a timeout. So each team with a timeout in this game. And Los Altos just 3 points away from taking the second game as they lead 22-16.
Hi, I'm Ricky Appler with Spartan Sports Camp. Brought to you by the Mountain View High School Athletic Department, Spartan Sports Camp offers multi-sport camps for kids in grades 3 through 6, as well as sports-specific camps for grades 6 through 9. We give campers the opportunity to receive instruction from the Mountain View High School coaching staff and student-athletes. Strength camps are also available throughout the summer. For registration info, visit our website at www.spartansportscamp.com. Sessions begin June 10th and run weekly through August 2nd. We look forward to seeing you this summer.
Coach Hardy calling timeout and trying to wake up the Gators here. That again, the wheels have come off late, hanging tough with the Eagles, but really stepped it up now. It's a 6-point lead, 22-16 they lead. House sets for Harushka. Back to the Los Altos side. Now will take a deflection off Harushka as McCall rises high at the net. And the Eagles just 2 points away now. And Blackburn's serving has been exemplary today for the Eagles. Again from the near side. Chow there. Howe underneath. Blocked at the net by McCall. McAfee backs him up. And that's tipped over neatly by Nathan Smith. And it's game point Eagles here in game number 2. And how Blackburn would like to finish this one off with an ace from the near side of the court. Blackburn. Bennett underneath. Howe is there. We'll go back to Bennett. Sends it into the net. And Los Altos take game number 2, 25-16. And they're just one away from taking this match.
As a busy mom of 3 kids, I find it extremely convenient to access My Health Online. My Health Online's messaging service allows me to keep in close contact with our doctor.
Being able to email the doctor with questions gave us assurance that they do take an interest in the patients. That's why we've been with PAN for more than 10 years and keep adding members, the newest member.
Back then for game 3, Los Altos taking the first 2 games, 25-13 and 25-16. And perhaps most impressively, have pulled off long point scoring runs at the end of each game, scoring something like the last 12 or 13 points of that second game, when the Eagles led 16-13 after the second timeout was called. Los Altos just able to find another gear at the moment. Can the Gators pull back from this 2-game deficit? Bergerman sends it over. Bennett underneath, sends it cross court for Aiken Young. Over in 3. Good battle this here for the first point of game 3. Bennett does well to keep that one in. McAfee digs it out. Smith sets up for Bergevin. Bennett finishes the point. And that's the sort of resolve that Sacred Heart Prep will need to display if they're to battle back from this 2-game deficit in the match. Definitely one of the longer rallies of this game, to be sure. And Bennett finishes the point convincingly to give the Gators the early lead. Off the Howe serve. McAfee was there. Oh, a little confusion, but sent over just in time. Chow underneath to Howe. Back to Bennett. Dug out again by McAfee, over in 2. Oh, and Sacred Heart give away the point. Zabedlik, Sacred Heart Prep, sends it into the net. Not under any pressure there. And really with the Eagle defense scrambling a little bit. Bennett over to Howe, tips it over the net. Smith underneath. Oh, and Bennett finishes. It was just a little too strong. Off the bump from Nathan Smith, and as we mentioned, his setting today has been exemplary, but that time just a little bit too strong for Bergevin. And Bennett didn't need a second invitation to finish that one off. 2-1, Sacred Heart Prep lead here in game 3. Solanas to serve. Rising higher, there was Simonides, blocked at the net. Now over the far side, Bennett. It's a great set there from Smith. Over in 3 from the Eagles. Back cross court, Myers. Smith was underneath. Wasn't sure that time if he wanted to try and tip it over or try and bump it over, and that's a lash at it. And 4 hits for the Eagles gives the ball back to Sacred Heart Prep, leading 3-1 here in game 3. Solanas to serve. Dyer was underneath it. Cross court, Blackburn tipped over in 1. Nice dig out by Solanas. That comes back off the roof and takes a deflection. Smith can't get to it. And Sacred Heart Prep lead 4-1 here in game 3. Solanas from the center of the court serves. Blackburn there for the Eagles. Simonides too strong for Chow. Simonides rising high to finish. 4-2. Gators lead here in game 3. And the Eagles back on serve. Bergevin then will serve from center of the court. Tips over the net. Howe did well to dig that one out. Sent across in 3. Smith. Simonides dug out with one hand there by Solanas. And it goes into the net from Bennett, despite Spadlick's best efforts. And it's now a 4-3 lead for Sacred Heart Prep here in game number 3. Bergevin. Chow did well to deal with that one. Bennett sends it across in 3. McAfee back there. Smith sets outside the antenna. And it'll be a point to Sacred Heart Prep. Harushka comes back onto the court, as does Frank Rodriguez. Sabadlik will take a seat, as will Grant Chow. Libero out on the court here for Sacred Heart Prep at the moment. Rodriguez to serve. McAfee does well to dig that one out. Smith sets. Rising high was Blackburn. Dealt with nicely by Howe. Over in 3 from Sacred Heart Prep. Smith again sets outside to Dye, rising up and rejected at the net by Harushka. Working in tandem with Bennett there on the opposite side. Does well. And it's now a 6-3 lead in game number 3. This is a front court that's worked well for Sacred Heart Prep when they've had it today. Comes off the net, dug over in 1. House sets far side. Bennett, oh, rejected by Dye. Nicely done. A cheeky maneuver to be sure by John Dye at the net. A sheepish grin after to be sure. It's now a 6-4 lead. Catching Bennett off guard. The most delicate of touches to send it back over the net. McAfee to serve. Solanas retreats, sets it for Howe, up for Bennett. And they're going to say that's a double hit on Matt Howe. (6-5) now. Sacred Heart Prep lead as the ball appears to have left the gymnasium. This will rolled out on San Antonio Avenue because there's finally they're able to reclaim it from underneath the bleachers. 6-5 in the lead. Sacred Heart Prep here in game 3. House sets it to Myers, rejected at the net. That's McCall and Blackburn combining on the stop. Los Altos trying to move to 6-6 overall. Bennett. McAfee was there. Smith sets back to Blackburn. And Blackburn's coming alive now. His serving was excellent, as we mentioned in game 2. And that front court tandem with McCall is certainly playing dividends right now for Coach Radford. 7-6, the Eagles lead here in game number 3. Myers underneath for Sacred Heart Prep. Smith serves at the net, rejected by Harushka. That's a block on McCall. 7-7 now, thanks to Harushka. And that's been a fun battle up front here between McCall and Harushka when he's been out on the court. Here's Bennett then to serve for the Gators. Dye underneath that one. McCall trying to tip that over the net, but Harushka read it all the way. Bumped over at 3. Chow does well to keep that one in. Bennett now has to send it over. Wild point here. 7-7. McCall tips it over. And despite the dive of Bennett and Chow, they can't get there in time as the Eagles retake the lead. Blackburn then to serve. And if he can go on a run here of consistent serves, Los Altos could strengthen their lead. Bennett then rising high, rejected at the net by McCall. Front court just too strong right now for Los Altos. They lead 9-7. As we noted, Blackburn, that compact delivery. No spin on that serve as it comes across. Myers. Bergevin was underneath that one. You're going to say it's a roof on, or double hit there on Smith. So a point to Sacred Heart Prep. So substitution then, Solanas is a seat. Clay Aiken-Young comes back into the front row then for Sacred Heart Prep. So it's Aiken-Young, Howe, and Harushka up front for the Gators. Dyer rises high, Harushka right there with him. He'll get a second attempt at this one. Bennett one-hands it up for Matt Howe. Over in 3 as Myers swings at that one. Bergevin was there. Now over to Dye again. And that'll be a point to Sacred Heart Prep as Howe does a good job of rising with Dye that time. All tie up at 9 then here in game number 3. Los Altos up 2-0, 25-13, 25-16. Victories in game 1 and 2 respectively. McCall off the leg of Bennett. Puts the Eagles at double digits. Perfectly placed shot there from McCall. No chance for the taller Bennett to reach down and keep the ball alive. Aiken-Young sends it over in 3. Dye was underneath that one. McCall too strong. And that'll tie it up at 10. Grant Chow to serve them for Sacred Heart Prep. From the far side of the court. Blackburn's there. Smith sets for McCall. And we'll say a double hit on Smith. So his second one of this third game. Crucial juncture in this game right now with Sacred Heart Prep trailing 2-0. And that serve, just as I was about to say, well, they say now it was touched by a Los Altos players that seemed to sail past the boundary, but Chow almost giving a gift there if you like. He'll send that one over the 2-point lead for the Gators here in game 3. Over in 3 from Los Altos. Aiken-Young rejected at the net as Smith finishes the point for the Eagles, 12-11. Aiken-Young had thought he'd tip one past Nathan Smith that time. McCall to serve. Myers underneath it. Howe serves for Aiken Young, puts it into the net. Was in two minds. He couldn't decide there if he wanted to rise high and try and send that one over or try and bump it over. Sends it into the net. McCall will serve from the near side. Deep serve. Chow deals with it. Back to Aiken Young again. McCall underneath that one. Smith sets it for Simonides. Gators keep a point alive, and that's sent by Bennett cross court too strong. And Los Altos back in the lead, 13-12. Opportunities beginning to run out now for Sacred Heart Prep. And you can tell by the speed that McCall gets back to serve that they want to end this right now. Up 2-0 here in game number 3. Aiken Young punches that one over. Dye underneath it. Smith sets cross court. Rising high and dealing with it well was the front court of Sacred Heart Prep. Simonides. Bennett serves it off the net. Still alive. Bennett bumps it to Howe. And that's sent right into the grill of Simonides by Ian Bennett. A much needed point for the Gators as they tie it up at 13 apiece. Matt Howe to serve then from the far side. McAfee there for the Eagles. And a double hit there on Simonides will give Sacred Heart Prep the lead. And this is the point in the game where things have started to unravel for Sacred Heart Prep. They have the lead here, 14-13. And that's through the hands of John Dye. Good strong serve that time. 15-13, the Gators lead here in game number 3. And they'll need another serve from Matt Howe, just like that prior one. McAfee underneath. Smith sets. Simonides rises high. That's too strong underneath for Sabadlik as he sends that one into the net, and the Eagles are back on serve. 15-14, Sacred Heart Prep lead here in game number 3. Smith to serve. Myers keeps that one in. Howe, cross court to Bennett. Dye underneath. Smith sets. Simonides finishes with authority. He smashes that one home. Game tied at 15. Smith with a jump serve. Oh, almost a little too strong there for Zabedlik. Bennett got all of that one. Too strong for Smith to deal with. And you can see Bennett just absolutely unload on that one. Full windmill action that time as the right arm comes around. And despite the best effort of Smith, just couldn't get underneath it in time. 16-15. Solana sends that one over. Over in 3 from the Eagles. How underneath that one? Bennett has to send it over, and he does well. Delicate touch. And McAfee diving. Unable to deal with it. 17-15 now the lead here in game number 3 for the Eagles. Dye keeps that one alive, sends cross court from Smith, and that's off the block of Bennett, out of bounds. Eagle point. Eagles certainly not going away here in game 3. Here's Bergevin to serve. Good low serve there. Dug out by Chow. Bennett tips it over the net. Now, is that in bounds? It was. Just catching the line over there on the far side of the court. Bennett battling here in game 3. An interesting makeup of this team. 6 seniors, 5 sophomores for this Gator lineup. No juniors on either team. Oh, great effort by Smith there to keep that play alive. Bennett now will set for Myers. Took a deflection. McAfee rising high to keep this one alive. Back across to Blackburn. And Howe tried to dig that one out, but it was too strong for Blackburn going cross court. The senior finishes the point with authority, and it's now 18-17. Sacred Heart Prep leading here in game 3. Got a lot of work to do, though. The Gators trailing 2-0 overall, but a game 3 victory here would be a massive boost of confidence, to be sure. Bennett retreating there. Harushka sends it over. McAfee underneath. Rising high was Blackburn. Fists it over. Smith digs that out superbly. Tipped back over by Harushka, and he'll get the point. A double hit there on the front court by Los Altos. Sacred Heart Prep just 6 points away now from taking game 3. Bennett to serve. McAfee there. Smith bumps set over to Dye. Chow deals with it. House sets for Myers. Tries to go cross court. Probably should have let that one go. Over in 3. Bennett does well to dig that out. House sets it back to Bennett. Oh, turned away at the net by McCall. Perfectly timed. In the perfect position. Bennett had to send that one over the net from behind the attack line. And McCall just all on his own finds the open spot. 19-18 Sacred Heart Prep lead here in game 3. Blackburn to serve. Harushka underneath it. Howe bumps it for Bennett. Sends it over. McAfee there in time. Smith now sets it from Blackburn. And a double hit on Smith. His 3rd of the match. First of this game. That gives Sacred Heart Prep a 2-point lead here in game number 3. Solanas takes a seat. Aitken Young back on the court for the Gators. Now, how will they respond? Bennett does well to dig that out with one hand, as does Aitken Young, but it's going to be a point, a double, or roofing on Aitken Young. 20-19 now. Be Dye to serve them for the Eagles. Here's the serve. Bennett was there. Howe sets it for Aitken Young. Blackburn underneath. Bergerman sends it across. Aitken Young will get a second attempt, and he gets the point. Coach Radford certainly more animated in this game 3. 2-point lead then for the Gators, up 21-19. And it's Grant Chow, the senior, to serve. Blackburn was there. Smith sets for McCall. Took a deflection for front row player. Kept alive. Bennett sends it across. McAfee underneath. Smith. Oh, McCall. Did he get that in? He did. Just catches a piece of the boundary. Rising high to send that one home. Los Altos on serve here, down a point. 21-20 the score here. Sacred Heart Prep leading game 3. Good strong serve by McCall. Over at 1 and sent. Over by Nathan Smith. No chance for Sabadlik to deal with that one. And we're all tied up at 21 apiece. And McCall wants to finish this one off right here. Floating serve, Bennett. Aitken Young sends it across. Bergevin rises high. Sends it, and it's going to be roofing on, or a double hit on Matt Howe at the most inopportune time, as he tried to send that one across for Bennett. A timeout called with Los Altos up 22-21 here in game 3. KMVT Sports is presenting sponsor is the Palo Alto Medical Foundation, part of the Sutter Health Network. Choose your PEMF doctor today. And this game is also brought to you by Home Instead Senior Care. Home Instead, to them, it's personal. Exciting game number 3 here. Timeout called by Coach Hardy, and certainly going to admire the resolve of his Gators here in this game 3, with their backs most certainly up against the wall, but Los Altos with a slim 1-point advantage and needing just 3 points to take this match. How will the Gators come out of the timeout? And this has been a point of this match where the Eagles have just taken control. And judging by the way McCall is bouncing the ball, he is ready to unleash his wrath on the Gators. And you see right there, finds the target. Confusion in the back row there between Myers and Chow. Too little too late here, and now McCall will serve again. Chow underneath that one. Howe sets it, sends it over in 2. Simonides there. Blackburn sends it over in 3. Bennett underneath for Howe. Aiken Young, that's right in between Dye and McCall. And that's a good response from the Gators. 23-22 now. The Eagles lead here in game number 3, and they're back on serve. So they need the best serve of the day coming up right here from Matt Howe. He'll serve from the far side. McAfee's there. Smith sends it over 2. Nice diving effort by Howe to keep the point alive. Over in 3 from the Gators. Now Smith will set. Rising high as Myers, but Bennett blocks it with the net. Ties it up at 23. And more importantly, the Gators are back on serve. McAfee there for the Eagles. Simonides rises high. Oh my goodness. Found the open spot with a powerful spike. And it's match point here. Los Altos. A timeout called by Coach Hardy. This game is brought to you by KMVT's All Sports presenting sponsors, the Palo Alto Medical Foundation, part of the Sutter Health Network. Choose your PAMF doctor today. So it is indeed match point. Los Altos taking game 1 25-13 and game 2 25-16. And it's last chance saloon time here for the Gators here in game 3. Remember, the Eagles have to win by 2. So on the court right now for Sacred Heart Prep, up front, Sabedlik, Aiken Young, and Howe in the backcourt, Bennett, Myers, and Chow. It's Nathan Smith to serve for the match. And that's going to go out of bounds, and Los Altos take game number 3, 25-23. A valiant effort by the Gators here in this 3rd game, but ultimately Los Altos and the excellent play of Alex Blackburn, Ian McCall, and Spencer Simonides. A real team effort then for the Eagles as they move to 6-6 overall, 3-1 in El Camino League play. Sacred Heart Prep fall to 3-10. They are now 1-7 in El Camino League play. KMVT 15, our producer and director Bobby Chastain, our cameraman Tim Erskine, Janet Wu, and Brian Cracker. Our other cameraman Edgar Espino Barros. A special thanks to Los Altos High School for having us here this afternoon. My name is Stephen Davies. Thanks for joining us. We look forward to our next high school sports presentation on your local destination for high school sports, KMVT 15. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.